What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. I got another installation video today. So here I have with me what's called the Compressive Tuning Smart Flow Shroud. So I already have the fender shrouds on my car, but this one is actually a little bit more functional, I would say. So what this shroud does, it actually replaces the Oem Shroud, and then there's a piece here. It's like a little ram, I guess you can call it. So basically it helps guide air into the air scoop. So let me get all this unpacked and I'll show you. Okay, so here I have everything that comes in the packaging. So you have the shroud itself, and you have here, this is like that little ram scoop. So this is gonna go basically right behind the grill, and so help channel air directly into the air box. And then you have another piece here that also helps with channeling the air. So one of my concerns originally with this piece is that, I was worried that it would introduce water into the intake. But if you check Compressive Tuning's site and other people who've installed this, Compressive Tuning has designed this so that no water will get into your intake, so you don't have to worry about that. And it's it's a very solid piece, nice quality aluminum. And then I got the wrinkle red one to match with the fender shrouds that I have in the car and my strut bar. So yeah, you have the shroud pieces here, you have a little installation guide, and then you have here some stickers and some hardware. So the first thing I'm gonna do is actually show you guys what the airflow looks like with the stock shroud. And I'm not gonna be driving or anything. I'm actually just gonna I have a shop vac, so maybe it'll mimic the air that you'll see when you're driving around a parking lot. But I just want to show you guys the difference from just having the OEM shroud compared to this compressive tuning shroud, so you can see the difference. Okay, so here I'm in the engine bay now. As you can see, these are the fender shrouds that I installed, I think a couple months ago. So it's the same exact color that's on the fender shroud. I mean the radiator shroud, the one that goes here. So yeah, I just have here little pieces of tape, and then I'll show you guys the video where you can see the airflow. It's not bad, but with the compressive tuning shroud, it should be significantly better. I expect to see way more airflow once I have it installed. So the first big thing you need to do, and it's kind of annoying, but you basically have to remove the whole bumper, because in order to get to the shroud and the OEM one, there's some bolts behind the bumper that you have to remove. Let's get the bumper off and then get to the next step. And then also, since my car is super low, I'm probably gonna have to at least put it on ramps and jack up the front so I can access all those pop clips at the bottom. Okay guys, so I'm actually underneath the car right now. So I have a front lip, so that's what this piece here is. But to remove the front bumper, you have to go underneath. There's a bunch of pop clips you have to remove. So there's one in the middle, there's one on the side over here, and then one back here. And then my light can't reach all the way, but then there's another one here, and I believe there's one in the corner. I don't know if you can really see my finger, but another one in the corner, and the same thing on the opposite side. So you want to make sure you remove all those clips first, and then after that, we'll go to the top, and I'll show you which screws and clips to remove on the top end. Okay, so once the 9 clips underneath are removed, you have to go into the fender, where the fender and bumper meet, and then right in the corner, you see right here, pointing with my finger, there's a clip there, and there's a clip on the opposite side. So you want to remove those clips as well. And these, you just push it in, and that'll release it. Okay, so once you have the clips at the bottom removed, the clips in the fenders, you're gonna want to open the hood, and then right here where the weather stripping is, there's gonna be, there's a clip here, a clip over here, and then another clip here, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10mm bolts. So remove those clips and remove those bolts. Okay, so once you have all the clips and screws off of the weather stripping portion, you can literally just lift it and put it away. So now that all the clips are removed, the only thing that's holding in the bumper now are the actual like supports, or I guess like there's these portions that the bumper clips into that are around the headlight. Actually, I'm sorry, I lied. If you have a license plate relocation kit, make sure you remove the license plate. Otherwise, when you try to pull this bumper, it's just gonna hit against there. So let me actually remove that first, and then I can go ahead and pull the bumper off. So now I have the license plate removed. Now I'm gonna pull off the bumper. So just be gentle, but don't worry, you know, as you're removing the clips, it's not gonna break anything. And then just remember that if you have fog lights, so if you have a premium or limited, or if you upgraded your car and have fog lights, just remember that they're still connected at the bottom. So don't pull too hard. Pull it and then, like, you know, slowly drop it. So right there is fine. You don't need to remove the whole bumper. Like, you don't have to completely take it off because we just need access to this section. So now that we have the bumper off, you want to go to your intake duct and remove the two clips holding it in. So there's one here and one here. If you have a Cobb airbox, then you're also going to want to remove the lid, because otherwise this snorkel gets stuck. Okay, the intake scoop is gone, as well as the lid for the airbox. So now this is the Oem Shroud. So there's 6 clips you need to remove. So there's one here, 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 and here. So remove those 6 clips, and then we can work on removing the Oem Shroud. Okay, so in the instructions, it then says to remove the 2 bolts that are holding in your headlight, and then the bracket for the bumper. I don't really want to do that, so what I'm doing instead is I'm actually just gonna go ahead to the next step, which is to remove the bolts that are holding in the bumper reinforcement beam. So that's this beam right here. Okay guys, so the bolts you need to remove for the upper reinforcement beam, to remove it, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So remove those 5, and there's another 5 on the opposite side in the same spots. Okay, so the shroud is loose, but it's kind of like stuck, I think, behind the headlight. So I've seen some people do is they just remove the 2 bolts holding in the headlight. They don't remove the headlight completely, just remove the bolts, and then you should be able to pull the headlight out a little bit, and that should be enough to get this reinforcement bar out of here. And just like that, with those 2 bolts removed, this headlight now moves enough, and I was able to get the bracket out, and then I just put it over there. So now the next thing you want to do is you want to remove these 2 bolts that are holding in the radiator brackets. Well, actually, you could probably just first remove the Oem Shroud, and now remove these 2 bolts that are holding in the radiator bracket. And these, I believe, are 12mm. Okay, after removing the radiator bolts, bracket bolts, sorry, then you can literally just lift them and just like move it over. Because now, okay, and then that's okay, it's gonna dangle a little bit, that's fine. And then now we can start putting in the new shroud. So the first piece we're actually gonna install is this little like ram air tray. And then that's actually gonna get mounted right where these 2 bolts are, the left bolt on the hood latch, and then this other bolt over here. So these are 12mm, so remove those, and then we're gonna reuse this bolt, but then on this side we're gonna use the Allen bolt that came with the kit. Okay, so now I'll remove those 2 bolts, and I'm gonna put in the ram tray. But there's also a little note here. How to use washer. There are 6 washers included. 4 are thick, 2 are thin. Use the thick ones as spacers for the ram air tray so it won't hit the radiator support. So, as you can see, here's a little diagram showing it. So the thicker ones will be in between the ram tray and the radiator support. The thin ones go in between the bolt and the ram tray. So it says here 2 thick washers. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put 2 thick washers on the side that's in between the radiator support and the ram air tray. And then I'm gonna use 1 thin washer on the bolt. So I'm gonna do that for the left bolt that was supplied, and as well for the right side. Just so you guys have an image of what it looks like. Here I have the left side of the ram tray. So I have the bolt, thin washer, 2 of the thicker washers on this side, and then this part is gonna go through the radiator support. So here I have the tray. Make sure it's nice and firm. You don't have to go crazy with it, but just make sure it's nice and tight. So as you can see here, I have 1 washer on this side, 2 washers in between. Same thing on this side. And the reason you do that, I'm assuming it's so that this clip, when you put it back in, this support fits. There's like a little gap in between the ram tray and the radiator support. And also here, this bracket here sticks out. So you need to clear it. So I'm assuming that's also what these washers help with. And then just an FYI, this Allen bolt that came with the kit, this is a 5mm. So now that that's done, now we can get the top portion of the shroud and place that in its place. And then really quick, just to show you guys the difference, here's the compressive tuning shroud, and then here's the Oem Shroud. So once you put the shroud on, you can put the radiator brackets back, and there's 2 little holes that line up with the like the edge, like some clips on the bracket. So those holes line up perfectly, and then just use the same 12mm bolt to secure it. So I have it secured on this side, and then I also have it secured on this side. And then before you tighten everything down, just make sure the holes line up. So there's the holes for the pop clips. So make sure those all line up, because if they don't, you're gonna have a tough time later on trying to put all the clips back together. But yeah, so this is good. So now that this is installed, now we can go ahead and reinstall the reinforcement bar. So when you're putting the reinforcement bar back on, make sure this bracket, this top bracket, goes over the shroud. And then in between the bracket and the shroud, you fit in this little fin. So this little angled piece will fit. Let me see if I can get a good angle for you guys. So that piece will fit in between the reinforcement beam, and it'll fit just like that. So now you can go back and put all the bolts on the reinforcement bracket, and then we'll slowly start putting everything back together. Okay, so after the bumper beam is reinstalled, you can go ahead and put the pop clips back in for the shroud. So just remember, when you're installing all the bolts back, tighten everything down to 15 foot-pounds. And then, yeah, so now everything's set. All the clips are in. This one was kind of a pain in the ass, the one with the little flange here. Just, wiggle it around, and then eventually you'll get the pop clip in. I recommend getting some spare clips just in case, because I actually broke this one, so I had to replace it. But yeah, so 15 foot-pounds on everything. And then just reverse of what we did before. So everything's all set here. So now I can start remounting the bumper, put the little the weather stripping, put the weather seal, put that back on once the bumper's on, and then you can close everything up. Alright guys, so I did the final test, and then this works much better than the stock radiator shroud. It is, a little bit involved though. You have to remove the whole bumper, mess with the beam, and then also I realized when I put everything back together, my left tail light sits a little lower than before. I tried messing around with it to try to get it exactly where it was before. This headlight fits pretty much perfectly. Everything's fine on that one. It's not bad, but it's a little off. Like, I've noticed, like, where the bottom of the headlight and the bumper meet, there's like no gap. Like, the bumper is right up against this light. Meanwhile here, there's a tiny bit of a gap. So I can feel a little bit of a gap. I'm running my finger along it. It's pretty even. Here, the top part has a bigger gap. And then once I get to the bottom of the taillight, it's like right up against it. So, I mean, everything's still fully installed. Like, it looks like everything's fine. Like, the bumper is fully mounted. It's not like loose or anything like that. But yeah, just something for you guys to be aware of. But yeah, so you can see pretty functional, cool. And then now it completes the engine bay. So now I have the red fender shrouds, the red strut bar, and now the red radiator shroud. Alright guys, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe for more content similar to this.